Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Get Real podcast. It's been quite a while since we last did an episode, hasn't it?
It has, actually, and we're doing it in the audio format today. We're just chilling on the couch here, having some great conversation.
Yeah, we were just out in the car and we had this chat and we thought we should come home and share it with everybody. The talk today was here's a little bit of a backstory. Lisa and I go on a date every night.
Mm-hmm.
We take the dog out and we sit and chat and share our day. It's a lovely way to connect with your partner.
A doggy date.
A doggy date. So anyways, tonight during our drive, we were talking about being united and building connection. And this is something that, I've thought about so deeply for so long. It's a question I've asked myself. How do I build community? And that's a question that I've asked myself repeatedly. How do I build community? So when I look out into the world, which I don't do a lot of, and Lisa can vouch for that.
Your clients end up having to tell you what's going on in the world usually.
Typically, yeah, that's how it goes. But when I hear about things going on in the world and I hear about segregation or separation, people distancing themselves from each other, it sort of gets my back up. But the reason why it gets my back up is because I just feel like it's such a disempowering place to go. Like, what's it do for you, Lisa?
Same thing. It definitely it almost engages the same energy in me, but I feel like I'm in a conscious enough place that I can stop it right there. But I see there's so many people unconsciously spreading this energy, right, of fear and disempowerment.
Yeah, and I think when I think about connection and community, I think of strength and I think of power. When we come together and join together, we're powerful. We're meant to gather together. And when I look out into the world, I see, divide and conquer. And that's a very old term. Mm-hmm. It goes back to Babylonian times. And it was a term, divide and rule. And when we've known this for years in war and politics, that you divide people, you can rule them. And that's one of the bigger problems I see with people segregating themselves or ununiting themselves with each other, is that it weakens us. It weakens us on a global community standpoint. It also weakens us on an individual perspective as well.
I think people know they know what unity is. They feel it, but unfortunately they're coming together in unity over the negative things, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are practicing it, but they're not even aware that they're disempowering each other. They're helping each other get to that place. And all it takes is a little shift of awareness to stop doing that, especially engaging other people in that conversation.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Because it's our mind running, which is really the equivalent of our ego, right? Mm-hmm. It's not from the heart. Our heart doesn't see like that.
Yeah. And in today's society, I see division and fear as two main paradigms that seem to be in operation all the time. We're fearful of this, we're fearful of that. And, if there's two things that I find make my stomach flip or make me feel weak, is when I'm fearful and when I'm divided. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a family where, my dad was a president of the union at the local factory he worked in. So for 10 years, he was the president of the factory. And, I saw guys coming in all the time. And so early on in my life, I built this sense of community means having people around, gathering with others, uniting together. So I think at a young age, this concept of community was ingrained in me very early. And I could see so much value in it. And I didn't understand what I was looking at when I was younger. But as I step back now, I see so much value in that coming together as one.
I want people to know that for people, others that weren't raised like that didn't have that kind of an opportunity or role model like that, uh, it's easy um, to feel hopeless or helpless in our world right now with everything going on. But it doesn't mean that we can't choose the same things that you're choosing, because I see a lot of people see the calmness and they see your approach from your upbringing that you've pulled through the rest of your life. And yeah.
Yeah, and I do I understand that it may not be someone else's experience, and but I think that and people will often say, well, I'm powerless to change what's going
I'm
on
just
a
one person.
I'm just one person, and you look at the world's problems and feel defenseless,
Mm-hmm.
like you have no means or way to inflict a positive change.
This is what I was talking to you about earlier in the car. If you're in a place of disempowerment, that's all you can see, right? You feel like I can't make a change big enough, or even changing the way that I think. It's not going to really have an effect. Like, look at the world right now, but that's just the energy that you're in. So everything looks like that.
Mm-hmm. And when we were talking earlier, when you said, how to, if I can't, I don't feel like if I'm in a disempowered place or if somebody's in a disempowered place, how can they feel like what they're doing is positive or beneficial?
So therefore, they're not going to be drawn to choose
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. If they don't feel like they're going to make any kind of change or contribution, how do they get to a place where they start practicing, what I want to share with you? And what I said to Lisa earlier was faith. Sometimes it you dial this back to something very simple. You start it with a little bit of faith. Faith and understanding that if I hold, a loving stance and in to myself, to the world around me, that it will make a positive impact. But more, and the reason why I say that is because for years, I was trapped in my mind in a negative cycle of thinking, and my world just contained negativity. And many years later, 2018, I write a book called Be Love. And I was a candidate to write that book because I needed that. I
Mm-hmm.
needed to hold that mindset. I really needed to embrace love because on a deeper level I understood the power of love, but on an experiential level I was yet to really experience the depth and beauty and the power that love contains. So as I embraced this loving stance toward myself, to the world, to other people, my world suddenly became more and more and more of that. It became more love to the point today, and Lisa will can back this up, I'm sure. We we have so much love that pours into us,
Mm-hmm.
from just random strangers. We could be walking down the street and people just profess their love to us, and our world is sort of just wrapped up and imbued with this sense of love. And it all falls back into my willingness and choice and my faith in love.
It's basic too. Like attract like, right?
That's right.
So we attract where we are.
And so this brings me to the point that I want to make, that when it comes to segregation and separation, and in building community, it starts on an individual level. We can't wait for the collective to be united before we make that choice to do that in ourselves. We start with uniting with our own self. You go into your
To
space.
be responsible for your own first.
Exactly. Unite with that
Yeah.
sense of love in yourself.
I feel like you're giving your power away if you don't start there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the next step is that you unite with friends and family. And it doesn't mean that you have to hold everyone's perspective on philosophy, religion, politics, food preferences, what have you. It doesn't mean that you have to be like another person to unite with them. It's a matter of loving another person, accepting people as they are without the need for them to be any different. And that's something Mr. Rogers talks about. You're important and valued just as you are.
There's a couple tips that work for me, and that is remembering, the first time that I held a baby that I knew or I met or whatever, that first falling in love with a partner, all those things where you're just in your heart space, right? You can go back and visit that anytime, and you can use that as a tool when you're communicating with anyone, when you're around anyone, because that it's so pure and powerful.
Mm-hmm. That's almost a visualization. A friend comes to visit. Imagine they're your firstborn child.
Yeah. I like what you said, what you've always told me, to see somebody with new eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That also works for me. But you can find love. You can look at anyone with light and see them as light.
Mm-hmm.
And all that is love. That takes all fear. It abolishes everything, all the things going on in the world. None of that exists in that moment. And when you string together enough moments like that, now you're changing that energy. You're in a different space. You're in a different consciousness. It's a higher choice to make. It's your higher truth.
And I would say with a degree of confidence that when we consciously make the choice of love, that it goes out and finds and fills every inner space and in the universe. Love is this power that we have to project into the world, and it can produce results. But the kind of love that I'm talking about is just an uninhibited, pure love of yourself, your fellows, your environment around you. It's love without need, love that's not an opposite of something else. It's just a pure, untainted love that can arise within yourself. It's in, like what you said, when you look at a brand new baby, is there anything you want or need for that from that little guy, or girl? You just have this overwhelming sense of love and care and compassion. Now, if we embrace that kind of love for each other, for all the events that are showing up in our lives, take it another step and embrace your life with love. We become these beautiful, powerful creatures that can not only empower other people, but we can unite and create. And that's a big topic in my mind these days, is the power of creation.
Yeah, you're doing a big talk on that.
Yeah, coming up.
Yeah, you know that very well. I think that it's okay to have it be a practice as well. Like everything that Ned's saying, it's not like you have to wake up and be perfect at all that he's saying. Just just practicing it every day. And when you realize that you're not doing that, go back into it. And it's heart coherence. as well, right? It
That's right.
actually adds health to your cells, longevity, a calmness. I practice it every day, 3 times a day, actually, like the heart coherence, where you picture a place on your heart, like you feel a place on your heart. You can touch your heart if you need to. You breathe in and out from your heart. You breathe in for 4, and then you exhale for longer than you breathed in. Do all that through your heart while you're picturing or remembering a memory or some kind of pure love that you felt before, or that you want to feel. That works. And it just, in no time at all, it just brings you to this beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if you can set that, my intention of practicing is to have it happen more naturally throughout my day. So especially if I'm dealing with something that's challenging, I want to go to that place. It literally only takes a couple minutes. Go there first, do that, and then look at something with new eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And it usually looks different.
Yeah. And a lot of the times our perspective is clouded by our consciousness. And if our
Uh-huh.
consciousness is set and rooted in fear and individualism, separation, if it's rooted in that, it's not the most expansive consciousness. We have we have so much power at our disposal, and that real power comes from being positioned in love and pointed in connection with others.
Mm.
And I think what sometimes people forget is how powerful they are. We're not only powerful connected with others, we're powerful creators. We have this ability to manifest and shape our lives any way we choose. But when the mind goes back into any sort of a fearful topic, we start to disconnect from that power that we have. Our dreams and hopes and purpose that is landing at our feet constantly. Your purpose is constantly surrounds you in every moment of the day. All that sort of goes out of focus when we're not in unity or in connection with self. So again, that's the first step. You connect with yourself. If you want to see big changes in the world around you, start with yourself.
Connect with yourself too when you're just notice, play with that energy when you're speaking about the drama in the world. Just stop and check in with your body and see how it feels. And I bet you'll find tenseness, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you won't. We don't. We're not naturally strong when we're going too far outward into the world's
Even our immune
problems.
system goes down,
Absolutely.
which is, you're just feeding into more of that fear of what you're afraid of could happen if you can't be independent anymore. It's all just one big ball of crappy fear.
Mm-hmm. So let's challenge people. Let's the 21-day challenge for the next 21 days.
Oh,
When you notice that your mind has gone toward a fearful thought or a segregating thought, where you're not, maybe connecting and loving the community around you, change it up. Just notice. You start with noticing when you go out of your heart space, and play with this for a while. Hold this sense of love in yourself. Hold a sense of love for other people that you meet. Bridge a conversation. Look into the eyes of the people that are in your life, and ask them with genuine care and concern, how is your day? Start with that.
it's great to instigate something good in you too, just by you're opening a conversation with somebody else that you wouldn't usually, and put it in the direction of love and connection. And there's a million things you could say to have a nice conversation with someone. But
Mm-hmm.
create your own life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you create your life from one moment to the next. So again, play with that, see what you can create, and let us know. Send us a message online, put a comment, on any of our posts about how you're making out with this.
Or questions. We like questions.
Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this.
Thanks, guys. We missed you.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.